get to go first.
Yeah. We decided. All right. What is the question? All right. The question is, what was your biggest insecurities from ages 1 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 until now, and how did you overcome them? Oh, we're getting deep today. So, today's first question. All right, let me get some water for this.
Take your time.
Okay, so there is a 2-part question. Well, technically it's like 4 parts. so I'm gonna break it down. Bear with me. I'm gonna repeat it when it comes back to you.
Okay. So everybody knows.
Actually, I kind of want to tag team this and go between. So like we both do that. We both do that. We both do that.
That's
okay. All right. So we
get to go first.
Yeah. We decided. All right. What is the question? All right. The question is, what was your biggest insecurities from ages 1 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 until now, and how did you overcome them? Oh, we're getting deep today. Okay. Whew, Jesus. Okay, so what were some? So I'm gonna answer first 1 to 10, and then you're gonna answer 1 to 10.
Yep.
Okay. So my biggest insecurities from 1 to 10.
I think I know, but I'm not sure.
It was ugly duckling years, y'all. Mm-hmm. Like, one, my crush in 4th grade. It could definitely have been a polyamorous situation, but we didn't know all about that because he liked 3 of my friends and I, so it was 2 other girls and me, and then he only chose one of us, even though we all liked him too. It definitely, like, if monogamy wasn't in the thing, it definitely could have been. What is a boyfriend in 4th grade? What is a girlfriend? Come on now. It could have worked, but anyways. So, therefore, he chose one of my friends, but then was still flirting with me, so I called him out on it. And then, because I guess he got caught, and again, it wasn't allowed to like multiple people at the same time, his brother, to get me stop calling him out with, hey, you like me, why don't you just own that? His brother called me ugly, and that stuck with me throughout the rest of my teenage years. So that shit hurt. Then another guy at the same school, this was before I moved, so with the damn black boys, why y'all trying to take a sister down? But anyways, one boy said I had a mustache. Now, mind you, I started my puberty at 9. So I was very early compared to my peers. So hair was growing. I developed earlier with my chest too, but other women caught up and then now did. But it was still early. So one guy said I had a mustache, and it was just more hair there. I don't have a mustache, but sometimes there's hair, you know? So that was just another level to my insecurity. I had glasses, I had braces. Like, when I tell you ugly duckling, it really was. It really was. And then I was also skinny as a rail. I was skin and bone, y'all. Skin and fucking bone. And mind you, I'm growing up in a black culture, where curves are what are appreciated. And that's all I ever wanted. And it just was not happening in my youth. So, how did I overcome those insecurities? Honestly, I didn't overcome them until I moved to the next age range. So 10 to 20. Like 1 to 10, that's when all the external kind of factors hit me and those messages were received, and I was just in it, feeling insecure. And then it wasn't until the 10 to 20 age range where I started overcoming them. I got my contacts, I got my braces off, I started getting my hair done, I started expressing myself through fashion and dressing, and I was getting it, yes. And that's when I started actually getting boyfriends, was dancing at parties. So like I was just growing more into myself. And it really was the contacts and braces that immediately, like, cause that was 8th grade when I was 13, and that immediately was like, oh, I'm fine now. Cause I got my glasses, in 3rd grade? I'm blind as a bat, y'all. So yeah. So what about you? What were your insecurities from ages 1 to 10?
My insecurities from ages 1 to 10. Okay. So I think my biggest insecurity was, first let me start off by saying these are very formative years. These years, when you first experience something as a child, it's like it hits.
It hits hard. Damn.
Because this is like your first time experiencing whatever that might be. Same thing when it comes to joyous occasions as well, like your first birthday party. We always remember like those parties being like so much fun. And really, they were pretty simple. But because because it's like our first time experiencing some of these things, it's like all that energy was put into that, and you're like,
novelty.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's something new. But the same thing goes for negative experiences or traumas, injuries to your ego, yourself. So that happens as well. With that being said, for me, I was actually doing really well. Like I think going into my young my childhood from ages 1 to 10, like I was pretty well up until a certain point, and then a big insecurity happened because I was always very social. I was always in talent shows and doing all this other stuff, and like naturally just a bubbly personality as a child. But then I took a trip down to Guyana. This was in the 2nd grade, I think. Yeah, this was in the 2nd grade. So I took a trip down to Guyana, and there was a connecting flight from Antigua to, I think, Florida, and then back home, to Jersey. Where I lived at the time. And what happened was, I got the chicken pox. In Antigua, so I couldn't even go back home. So it was kind of screwed up because that's back then when chicken pox was a thing. Like now, that's not even.
What happened? I think my niece had chicken pox, and then they were like, my parents and my sister were like, well, we're not about to go through this shit twice. Come on over here. So my first name is Ashley. So Ashley can get it, so they can go through this together. But now, I think there's a vaccine because no kids get that nowadays.
There's not a thing anymore. So for all those who are like fearful of vaccines, clearly some of them work. They do their job.
And 90s babies have this experience with chickenpox.
Yeah. So I think not to go on a vaccine tangent, but because it's a totally different show. But clearly some of them work. But anyways. With chickenpox, for a lot of people, depending on how it goes, it can be pretty severe or it can be mild, like any other kind of disease. So for me, I got it pretty bad, like really, really bad, to the point where I could have potentially died because people who had gotten chickenpox to the extent that I was getting it, their throat would almost close up because it's affecting their passageway to their esophagus and everything else like that. So for me, it wasn't that bad, but it was popping up in certain places where I felt like it was about to go to that place. But fortunately, I was fine. But I got a whole bunch of scars from it. I don't know if you can really see them now, but I have tattoos and all that over them now. But there's
they embrace them.
Yeah. But there's some scars still on my arm. I think you might be able to see this one better. So I still got some scars here. So right now, even if you're looking at them on the camera, you're probably it was not even a big deal. I can't even see it. But for me, when I was younger, that was a huge deal. Yes. Back in the gym, y'all. Finally back in the gym.
That squeezes hard for those who are listening.
Yeah. She was, all the points.
They was out.
The guns was out. But yeah, when I was younger in the second grade, that was a huge deal for me. Like that was like the biggest deal ever because I thought, it shot my self-confidence.
Yeah.
I went from being like very outgoing to shy because I was afraid of what other people would think of me before I even showed up. So I was always thinking about what somebody thought of me going into an interaction. That's really kind of a it's not the best way to approach any interaction because then you're already on the defense. You're already like self-conscious and you're not putting yourself out there really. You're actually just making sure that you're safe before you put yourself out there, and
you're more appeasing others than you are like being yourself.
Right, you're looking for acceptance from others before you even evaluate whether they're worth your time. And I think that was a theme that followed throughout my life up until a certain point, like how you were saying, which we'll get to when we get to the more 10s to 20s and 20s to now. You ain't even hit 30 yet, but
next year.
I'll say 20s to 30s. But yeah, that was my journey when it came from being 1 to 10 years old. Other insecurities might have been like academics and comparisons to my brother because he was really good at other things. But like that was, to me, that wasn't that big of a deal. That I don't mind. It actually pushed me to become better, and there was a piece of that also ties into my identity that I can talk about later. But yeah, I think that would be it for me when it comes to ages 1 through 10.
Okay.
The chicken pox got me, y'all.
Yeah.
That was a big one. I was like, so insecure. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've definitely seen you grown in that area, just in your confidence.
For sure.
All right, so part 2. What was your biggest insecurities from ages 10 to 20, and how did you overcome them? So I think for me, I moved from a metropolitan, diverse area to a majority white rural area when I was 10 years old. So from 10 to damn near 20, I felt really disconnected from black culture. Now, mind you, I was still going to a black church. I still had black family. Once I got to driving age, I would definitely skedaddle 30 minutes down the road to where there were more black people. My niece went to, so mind you, for perspective, we had about 10 black students at our school in total, and it was a amount of maybe 1,000 to 2,000 students in the school. Whereas my niece's school had about 80 in the entire school. Hers may have been a little bit more, 2,000 to 3,000, I think, in the whole school. So more than us, still not a lot, but more than us. So I would always go to her homecoming. Like every single homecoming that she had, I was there. I was her date because I needed some blackness, right? So I was constantly seeking it, but some of the aspects that I missed out on was like, I didn't go to school with the kids I was partying with on the weekends. So like, I didn't build those connections because like, I didn't see them regularly, And then like, we were talking about it the other day, like how black boys be the class clowns and stuff. Like, I didn't experience that. And I always wanted to step at my school, and I did. My freshman year, they told me that my high school was getting a step team, and I couldn't believe it, and they were. But like, I was the captain. Organizer, yeah, I taught the steps, so I didn't want to have to be in that. I wanted to be immersed in the culture and other people teaching me about the culture, but I didn't have that. So I was literally just making shit up, literally, just what I liked. And I really, I felt like I was missing out on a piece of black culture just because I wasn't as immersed in it. I still had ties to it, but I wasn't immersed in it. It wasn't my day to day. And I really felt disconnected from it. I remember in middle school, like, mind you, I was the only black student in my elementary school. It only had 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, but I was the only black student until somebody moved there. And then it was 2 of us. And then middle school, a couple more towns went to the middle school, so there was a couple more, so I would sit with them in lunch. And my white friends were like, oh, you sitting with the black kids? And I'm like, yeah, they don't ask me questions about my hair or try to touch it. You know, so like I was feeling it, and I knew the differences because I experienced it at the school. I knew for what, how long? 5 years. So I knew the differences, and I felt so disconnected. Like, so yeah, so the first day I walked into my white school and I sat down and I looked around, saw no other even students of color, Jesus, but no other black students. Went to the cafeteria at lunch, looked around, I ain't seen nobody else, and I was like, well, I'm going to an HBCU. And I did. Hampton University. Shout out.
Shout out to all the HBCU alumni out there.
Yes.
And current students. Shout out to y'all.
Yes. Cause I needed to get my blackness back. I needed to get back my culture. I was like, I need to be immersed in this shit because I missed out on 8 years. You know, and those were like significant years, you know, my teenage years. So I definitely felt that lack. And again, I told you how I tried to overcome some of those things. But a big thing that I realized that I did was I kind of jumped into Spanish culture. Well, Hispanic culture, but I was learning the language of Spanish, and that made me jump into that culture just because it was something else that I could actually connect to. Now, mind you, this is what, early 2000s? So internet was just, you know, like I didn't have access to, you know how Afrocentric I am, like I didn't have access to clothes and jewelry and music and learning about, like, you know, like I didn't have access to that. So it was a culture that was easily accessible to me that I could learn about, I could eat, I could actually study a language. So I jumped into that. But as soon as I went to Hampton, I let that go because I was like, this is what I wanted. And I definitely did it. I was a part of the African Student Association, even though I'm an African American, or Black American as I identify now. But yeah, like I definitely felt that disconnect, and those are some of the ways I tried to overcome it. I'm definitely good now, being in Oakland, California, working at a black practice, being in a black bubble. I really am. I love it.
Yeah, I understand.
I made
that.
The fuck up.
I understand the need for that, like given your past experiences, for sure.
And it was a racist town, y'all. Like the KKK was known. Like the Grand Master was known to be there. In fact, when I was at Hampton, they actually the KKK sent flyers out the main square, like, so flyers on people's doorsteps asking people to join them. And that was when I was in undergrad. So 2010 plus. So yeah, like that's where I lived. But anyways.
Yeah.
What were your biggest insecurities from ages 10 to 20 and how did you overcome them?
Alright, from 10 to 20. So these were very interesting times for me as a young Martin. I would say my biggest insecurity at that time was kind of the lack of confidence and searching for what, like, manhood was and how I fit into how I fit into, like, masculinity and manhood without losing my, how would I say, like, losing my soul, if I would. Like, I tied masculinity, I think I might have talked about this on another episode, but just check out all our episodes and find out which one.
I love saying that.
But, yeah. When it comes to masculinity, I think I tied it into and bunched it with toxicity and the toxic masculinity that might be talked about a lot today. So I kind of looped those together, just like how I think a lot of feminists or people who view feminism loop it all together in terms of the toxic femininity that we see today. So it's just work I had to do at that time. So on top of like the whole chickenpox things, where it came to my image, I started to get over that a little bit more because I was in a setting going in from co-ed in elementary school to a all boys school, um, from middle to through high school. So starting in seventh grade, I was in an all boys environment, and there I saw all types of dudes. I saw dudes who were like, not attractive at all, just by like standards of the dating marketplace. I saw dudes who were literally going to the NBA. Like J.R. Smith went to my high school. So we had like the whole spectrum of dudes there. And, there was masculinity in all types of different forms throughout that school. So it was like figuring out what type of man I was, what parts of masculinity I identified with, and what parts of masculinity I wanted to kind of reject, or toxic masculinity that I saw that I wanted to reject. What images of masculinity were false representations, which ones were authentic. That was really the struggle. That was the struggle between me. And I think that played out with my first girlfriend. I almost said her damn name. Woo, chill out. Hold up. I don't know if she listens to the podcast or not. She probably don't. But my first girlfriend in high school, I was unable to truly authentically be vulnerable and express my feelings because of my lack of communication skills, for one, and also like my lack of, I think, values when it comes to honoring those around me and being upfront. And I think that's masculine, being upfront, not running or shying away from difficult conversations just because they might be difficult. That is something that I don't think was mild for me. Ghosting, not communicating, all those things were like way more easily accepted on the masculine side back then. So I think that was my biggest challenge, was figuring out who I was as a man. And then that also, through the 18, 19s, and 20s, it leads into college. And I think that's when I really started to figure it out. Because again, I'm seeing more men, but now I'm seeing them in the co-ed setting again. But this is not like your typical co-ed setting. This is like Hampton. This is Hampton University. Some of the finest women ever. Like
more than Spelman, which is shocking because Spelman's a women's college. Like how?
Because
I wasn't going to it.
Exactly. Because a lot of women are like, I went to find a
husband.
Well, yeah. Kinda. Like
Listen,
a lot
I'm
of women
going
went
to an
into
HBCU. This is prime pool.
Yeah.
Prime pool, okay?
These are all black men that are most likely going to be doing big things.
Shit. Yeah. I got me one.
Minimum, you're going to be doing all right. So, yeah. But yeah, that was my experience. I think I got over those insecurities by constantly asking and questioning myself. So I guess that's probably where I'm at now, why I am the way I am. Because even the insecurities that I have now, which I'll go into on the next tier, I'm always questioning and reflecting. So I think that habit of doing that and being critical of myself allows me to improve quicker than a lot of other people who I think might know their insecurities but don't like do anything about it, or might not know them at all. And
just a lot of people just lack the awareness. Yeah.
Controlling certain aspects of their behavior that they're not even privy to. So.
Self-reflection, y'all. Self-reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I knew the direct impact of my insecurities. What was the catalyst? And like I was very aware of that. So I had more strategies on how to overcome it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah. So the tattoos, got to mention that.
All right.
So I think it was 18 or 19. I'm not even sure which year it was. Whenever I turned 18 or 19, I decided I was going to redefine the scars on my body and make them my own. So that's where the tattoos come into play. So I have love on my on my left arm, close to my heart. I have hope on my right arm, going into I'm right-handed, so every situation I go into, my instinct is to go into with hope and optimism. And then on my chest,
That's my baby, y'all.
on my chest, I have faith. So that's like the centerpiece, the thing that comes together and ties all three of them. Is faith within myself, faith within my journey, and faith within my true inner self and the ability to be resilient and to make it through things. So I tagged myself on all three parts of my body right there where some of the scars were. And since then, like, I see like my marks all the time, but it's like what I really see is my mark on them, like how I redefined what my insecurity was and what it meant. I think that was also a really pivotal that was funny. Pivotal point in my life, because it was kind of like a real world example of me taking my insecurities and making them my own instead of my insecurities owning me, you know. So it was a powerful moment, and from there I think my confidence shot up a lot. Not just because I got tatted. It's not just because of that, but because of what I chose to get tatted and why, the reasons behind it. Yeah.
You see why I love this man? Like, I'm so attracted to you right now.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what was going on.
Yes. I love him so much. Okay, let me control myself. Hey, it's the Real Family. It's your girl Rocky.
And your boy Elsa.
And thanks for being here. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell.
Right, because subscribing and hitting that notification bell does two very important things. One, it gives you notification on our new content and make sure that you're up to date on everything that we put out every week.
Every week.
You know, every week.
Every week.
And then number two, it helps your boy and your girl out with some money. You know what I'm saying? Let's just keep it honest.
It's so real, baby.
But in all seriousness, this is just like the video portion, the YouTube portion of our content. We are It's So Real podcast. So we have all these episodes just waiting for y'all on how many platforms?
11 different streaming platforms.
11.
So it's up to you to choose.
Yeah, there's no excuses. We on everything. So whatever platform you're most comfortable listening to stuff, your content on, we're right there for you. So look us up. It's So Real podcast.
And our link tree is available on our YouTube channel. Go over there, find the platform that works best for you, subscribe to our podcast, and hear the full thing, because we have a lot more to say than what shows up on our YouTube channel.
Exactly. With that being said, check out the rest of our videos while you're here.
You know? And be sure to subscribe.
All right, y'all. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
And love.
Always.